Welcome back to Wayward Souls at the Double Tap In, and we've got our guest again, Josh. And we're going to discuss something that we've touched on in the past, but we're going to get more in depth with wild game cooking. And it's going to be from basically start to finish, the processing, the cooking, the enjoying, and all that good stuff. So, for those of you who don't know, we're avid hunters. I'm not sure about Ben's an avid fisherman, but Josh and I are avid hunters, and we try to fill the freezer every year with all kinds of different game, be it ducks, geese, quail, doves, and of course, deer.
Yep.
No way.
So, the thing you have to remember when you're getting into wild game as opposed to farm raised shit is your fat content is going to be substantially less than what you're accustomed to. So we got to keep that in mind. So as we're discussing things, you're going to hear some things that might be a little, but that's not how we cook beef. Well, there's a reason behind that. And the reason is you don't have the fat content and you will absolutely ruin a piece of meat if you overcook it.
In a heartbeat.
And that's what folks don't understand about wild game is you cannot overcook it. And when I say that if you're at a medium rare, you're doing great. If you get the medium, you're going to start jacking up your piece of meat.
Yep.
So what's your favorite thing to cook as far as wild game, Josh?
Yeah, you always hear about the back straps and tenderloins and kind of stuff like that. That's kind of your bread and butter, when it comes to venison. My favorite thing to cook is quail and dove. I love it. Down here we do a fair amount of dove hunting. They're everywhere. Even in the off season, you kind of, they're here. And then your quail population down here, unfortunately in the South, the quail population is diminished. So we do a lot of farm raised birds and we put them out and run dogs. But you still get that good field experience, and it's just a blast to get out there with your buddies and do that kind of stuff. And then we get into the waterfowl season. We've got a ton of geese, just like everywhere on that Eastern Flyway. They're always around, and we do a ton of teal hunt, and we get teal that come in green wing and blue wing. That's early season in September, and then we move in November is when our duck season kicks off. So we do a lot of wood duck hunting. And on my hunting property, we're very fortunate that we have managed it very well, put a lot of time and effort and resources into cultivating a herd for all of those animals. So we've got, everything: deer, quail, turkeys, geese, ducks, and all the other little mixed in stuff. So, we've got a bunch of hogs too. So we manage those hog populations, and so anyway, we're very blessed down here to have a ton of stuff that we can get into. But my bread and butter, the bread and butter kind of stuff. Obviously, the venison is where you're at, and then your upland game.
Ben, do you have any experience with dove?
No, I have a little bit of experience with venison and deer hunting, but no, I've never duck hunted or any.
I didn't know if any of your cohorts at work, if the opening day of dove season fed you.
We had this, and this would have been years ago, and I think it was wild turkey. But I've not had, to my knowledge, I've never had dove.
Yeah, big thing around here. September 1st is everybody does a dove shoot, and then after that, you will see people do bacon wrapped doves with jalapeno. They'll do all kinds of stuff like that. And is that how you do yours, Josh?
Yeah, with dove, I mean, there's smaller birds. There's not a ton to do with them. So most of the time we'll go out there, have a dove shoot. You get 50 birds, and they're very easy to clean. The skins, you don't even pluck them. The skin's very supple, so you pretty much just take your thumbs and push down through the breast meat, and you peel the skin off, and you get to I would say 1.5 inch little fillet, yeah, size of your thumb. I mean,
Yep.
you literally push your thumbs through them, and you get two fillets that pop out. So they're relatively easy to clean and go through. And most people do your Dove poppers, jalapeno cream cheese or cheddar cheese, and wrap it in bacon and do it. I like frying it also. Either your flour or a little bit of whatever your preferred, whatever you want to fry it in.
Your dredge.
Yeah, your dredge. Toss it in there, and they're like little chicken nuggets, and it's a red meat, and very flavorful, not gamey at all. Most of the time, they're eating the same thing that your chickens are going to eat. I mean, it's all scratch grains, millet, corn, whatever they pick up off the ground. It's a seed bird, so very, very delicious. And same with quail. Quail, they range in size depending on where you're at, but down here the bob whites, you clean them whole, and they've got great leg meat on them, great breast. I mean, you eat 2 or 3 quail and you're pretty satisfied. You have to eat about 10 dub to feel like you're getting something out of them, but those game birds do not get the reputation that they deserve. So, or the recognition that they deserve, because quail is one of the best things that I love to cook it.
They're fun to hunt and they're fun to eat.
Absolutely. And part of that experience, it's not just the cooking part of it, it's the camaraderie when you're out there in the field and you're watching the dogs run. If you get some good dogs that work them get pretty good, and they get up and fly and run around, and it's just fun to get out there and enjoy that experience. And it doesn't matter if you shoot 15 birds or 100 birds, this all depends on the hunt. But now quail takes quite a bit of time to process, just because you gotta
You're doing the whole bird.
you're doing the whole bird, right? So you want it to be right. Now, I don't pluck those birds. I don't leave the skin on them. You go ahead and peel the whole thing out. Field dress them, and you can do it with a pair of scissors. It's very easy. It's just a little time consuming. But your end product is, I mean, you get like this little Cornish hen, and you can fry them, bake them, put them in a Dutch oven with your vegetables and all that kind of stuff, and you've got a great meal. And when my wife and I have been together for 15 years, and she was not brought up in a hunting family. They did it, but it wasn't a staple in their life. And when she met me, she's like, "What is this redneck doing?" He hunts year round. What is this? So the refrigerator, the freezer was always full of something. So and she's adopted into it big time. If we ate deer 2 nights ago. I do, the cube steak, the roast, the steaks. We make our own. Dad got me into the processing probably within the last 10 years. I've started doing just about everything at the house. So I've got a grinder and a press, and my neighbor, he's got a big cuber, so I'm able to use it. And so I mean, it's just the whole process of literally bringing it from the field to your house. And again, social media has kind of changed that field to table kind of lifestyle. And but that was something I grew up on, and people have grown up on for years now. It's a fad for some people, but it really is a lifestyle for us.
When you go to Josh's house and you open up the freezer and you have to go, why is there an alligator in your freezer?
Yeah.
I was going to ask,
or whatever,
Yeah.
I was going to ask, have you seen on social media like the people smoking alligator? Apparently, alligator tail is like fantastic.
Yeah.
But like, I can't imagine like, oh yeah, let me open this smoker and like see this little fucking alligator, because they skin like everything except for the head.
Yeah.
And the claws.
Yeah.
Everything else is done.
That. Yeah.
Dad and I were just talking last week about doing gator, because here in Georgia it takes about 5 years to get a gator tag. And I've been fortunate enough to have 3 of them over the years, and I've killed them between 9 feet and 10 feet.
Well, that's a big fucking gator.
Yeah, they're pretty. And for people that are on the live over there, I've got them sitting over there on a display case. But that's an exhilarating experience for sure. It's I say there's nothing like it. I mean, when you're out there hunting a predator of that size, and they will mess you up.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. How do you hunt an alligator?
So we there are some laws and regulations on how you get them. You can't shoot them. You see in Louisiana where they shoot them with a rifle across the pond. You can't do that here. You can spear them, you can catch them with a treble hook, and then you can dispatch them once you get them to the boat and landed. But what we do is we take basically looks like a surf rod, 9-10 foot rod. You've got a 60-pound braid on it and a 100-pound leader, and with a monster treble hook, some big ones. And so we throw them over top of the gator. If you see them out swimming, or if they go down underwater, you throw over top of them, and you almost drag it across. And when you're fishing, you can feel it in the line, and you snag into them. I mean, you yank the piss out of it, and you'll know when you get them because they go ape shit. And so the fight could be 5 minutes because they're swimming at you, and you kind of you move the boat over top of them, and once they come up to the surface, most of the time they don't realize something's up, but they don't realize that they're that hooked. And we get them up to the boat, we harpoon them, tie them off to the boat. That way you're on a 10-foot hard line, and then we use a little silenced 22 pistol and shoot them in the back of the head.
Insane.
It's pretty wild.
Fucking wild.
So are you in a boat when you do this, or are you on shore?
Usually on a boat.
Right. With a 10-foot gator strapped to the boat who's angry.
Yeah.
And most of the time, we're in a 16-foot. Luckily, we have some access to some private property that's absolutely loaded with some gators. It was it's a private golf course, and they've got quite a few large ones. And we go out there, and you're in a 16-foot boat, and we've had 12-footers on that boat. And when their head is laying on the center console and their tail is hanging off the bow, you're like, that's a big gator.
That's a big fucking gator.
Yeah.
And also, people don't realize, you hear 9, 10, 12-foot gators. You don't realize the size difference between a 9-footer and a 12-footer. I mean, you're talking 200-300-pound difference.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, my gators over there, both of those are just shy of 10 foot. 12-footer is probably 5 inches wider and, 4 or 5 inches longer. So, they're tanks. They're tanks.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah.
How's the meat taste?
Personally, I don't particularly, it's good. It's not something that I would cook all the time. If, Georgia, Florida weekend down here is pretty popular. So, a lot of times, let's say I got 60 pounds of meat off of those, I give a lot of it away.
Mm-hmm.
I cook some here at the house. You fry it up. It's not like it's going to be a steak or a roast or a grilling piece of meat. You cube it up and chop it into nuggets and fry it up. It's pretty.
Okay.
There's a lot of connective tissue in it. Not a lot of fat content. And they're just like any other freshwater animal. They eat, turtles, fish, whatever gets in the water. So you're not necessarily. It's a little fishy to me.
Gotcha.
But you brine it, which is the best way to go. Do a brine on it, and/or soak it in buttermilk overnight. Rinse it thoroughly, and then it draws some of that out of it.
Gotcha.
And again, wild game, no fat content.
Yeah, very little.
Cook it in a heartbeat, tough as shit.
Yeah,
all that.
Yeah. Can we? So today's Monday. So this coming weekend, we're flying out to Dallas. My sister-in-law graduates from prosthetics and orthotics school. And she had her first hunting experience this past fall, and her and her roommate both got, I think, pretty decent sized does. So they've asked that when we come out, we cook up some tenderloins. So take me how you cook your venison tenderloins.
So for me, it's very simple. Salt, pepper, garlic is probably the easiest, and to me, some of the tastiest way to do it. I do mine hot and fast generally. So
Okay.
I'll get the grill up to 500 degrees or so. Depending on the size, I mean, you're talking a, sub 5 minute cook. The trick is to have a good instant read thermometer, because you can miss that mark in a matter of seconds.
Right.
I cook mine to 120 degrees and I pull it off, because it's going to rest up to about 125, which is your medium rare temp. And that gives you a very, very supple mouthfeel, easy pull, not chewy. I mean, it's going to be, super tender. And that goes along with the back straps too. Let them rest up to room temp, get them up to about 68, 70 degrees. And, throw it on there for a back strap. If you got to, either trussed, rounded off, or even if it's just flat, you're talking, 7-8 minute cook. But the same thing, I make sure to pull those off at least, 125, just because it's a little bit thicker. And if it rests up to about 130, you're still in that medium rare temp. And that's going to be the best way to do it.
Okay. All right. I've cooked the back straps. I've cooked it before. It's been if it's been 15 years. Yeah. That's not an exaggeration of the last time I cooked some. So
go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, when I travel, my buddies, we all have farms across the state down here, and we got a pretty nice little setup wherever we go. And but I've got a little Arctic backpack that I carry, and I've got an instant read in there. Usually I carry Dad's seasonings with me, and maybe throw in a couple little extras, and got my hot hands. And so, when you go somewhere and you want to cook, you want to have your tools with you.
Yeah. Yeah. She was, I forget what she was doing. She had texted me or she had called me. We were FaceTime, and she was trying to cook something where the apartment complex that she's in, if you go up on the roof, they finished it, and they've got like an outdoor cooking area up there with a bunch of grills and stuff. She's like, asking me to take her through cooking whatever she was cooking. I was like, well, do you have a thermometer? She's like, yeah. And she pulls out this old dial. I was like,
yeah,
throw that away. And I had just gotten, I don't want to say I had just gotten, but I had gotten an instant read. And she's like, and I was like, she was looking at, I think, some tongs too. She's like, well, I don't have any. I was like, hang on a second. What's your address?
Yeah.
2 days later, Amazon Prime is dropping off an instant read and some tongs. So I know she's got those. So luckily I don't have to take that with me, but I know they're all looking forward to that.
Coarse salt, coarse pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder goes a long way, especially on red meat. Yeah.
Okay.
Our annual training for SWAT quals, all that stuff that we would do at the county range around Christmas time, I was always requested to do venison tenderloin. And not a problem, because it's always a big feast day, Christmas celebration. We're doing all our quals. We're all together. It's just a good time at the range. I would start the night before and take my tenderloin, and I would do medallions, maybe 3/4 of an inch thick, drop them in a gallon Ziploc bag, and add a bottle of sweet Vidalia onion dressing, and let that marinate from whenever I do that till we actually grill on the range. And charcoal grill, run it up, throw them on, and like Josh said, it's a very fast cook. Yeah. And that was the crowd favorite, without a doubt. doing the medallions. The sweet medallion onion gives it a really nice sweetness to it. And again, it's not on the grill. It's not going to be on the grill long enough that you're going to burn the shit out of it.
Right.
So you can run it hot. Just make sure you're flipping it and checking the temp. And when it gets to the upper 120s, pull it off, let it rest, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
One of the
Can't beat it
best
at all.
things that I've ever cooked. I took a big chunk of tenderloin, probably 8-10 inches, and put it on the smoker. I smoked it for a little bit. Just it takes flavor very quickly, so you don't need it on there very long. That was basically just to dry the skin out a little bit, and then I glazed it with like a black cherry glaze.
Ooh.
And you talk about a good mix of that. I don't even want to say gamey, because if you process it right, you don't even get a gamey flavor out of it. It just tastes like a red meat. But you talk about those flavors, those earth tones coming out of the cherry and that glaze, man. And then you slice it thin, and it's just like any filet you ever had.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say that, you said if you do it right, you don't get that gamey there, but there's definitely a different taste. And I think like you also said, it's those earth tones that, it's a leaner meat. It's a different animal. And even though it's a red meat, like it's definitely a different flavor, compared to ground beef or
For sure.
any kind of beef or whatever it is. But it's like, I wouldn't say, gamey is not the right word for it, and we grew up, I don't say we grew up eating venison, but I was probably in late elementary or middle school when Dad started hunting, and then got into a little bit, and I've kind of dabbled here and there in hunting, but we've eaten a lot of venison, and I think we've had some elk, some mule deer maybe, so a lot of the wild game, and it's once you get accustomed to that difference, it's just as good. I'll take, it doesn't matter to me. I'll take whatever it is and eat it. Rachel, and like I mentioned a lot of times, she's not much on the meat and that kind of stuff, but she's had some of it, and I think she appreciates it. She doesn't care for it one way or the other. So, but it's always been something that's like, oh, we're gonna have venison. Yeah, sign me up. So,
well, we a couple years back, we were at my buddy's farm, and Dad was with us there, and I had brought up kangaroo tenderloin, whole tenderloins, and we had it fired up on the green egg, and did Dad's gunpowder seasoning on it, and did a reverse sear. And you talk about, if people ask, what's your favorite, game meat that you've ever had, and that kangaroo is a mixture of like a beef and that venison mix. So you get some of those same flavor profiles, but that was probably one of the best things that I've ever cooked. And I mean, we demolished, it was like 6 pounds of kangaroo, and we freaking crushed it between
gone.
So it was one of those ones, like, you have all the sides prepped and you're like, yeah, fuck the sides, we're eating
Finger food.
yeah.
Go back to talk about Rob Frampton. He does all kinds of stuff. Him and his wife are huge lamb fans, so they cook a lot of lamb. But he's got a buddy in Cambridge that has a meat market and has some pretty wild different varieties and I think he's gotten kangaroo from there before that he's really enjoyed. So Michael, if you're ever looking for some crazy stuff, I'll get the name and send it to you.
Gray kangaroo is pretty freaking fantastic. Pretty good. I'd eat it over beef, I think.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What was the skillet breakfast you did when we were there? Do you remember that? It was the eggs. It was everything in the big cast iron.
Yeah, I remember cooking it. I just don't remember what I had as the main protein.
Yeah, I don't either.
I can't. But that was pretty damn good too.
It was good too. I mean, we ate like kings for 2-3 days.
I'm the dedicated cook. Whenever our buddies get together and we we travel every year to go hunt, and this we're going to Arkansas next week, and I'm taking the Mini Max. I've got a travel Traeger, the tailgater, and I'm taking that with us, and I've already meal planned the whole thing, and so whenever we go somewhere, they know that we're fixing to eat.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I like the idea of the Arctic cooler bag and just a little setup in there.
Yep.
I have to
I
work
keep
on that.
it. That's a strictly travel bag. It already has everything in it. So whenever we're fixing to go somewhere, I said, well, let me just grab my bag and, throw it in there. It's got all
We're
the
ready.
essentials, and, you can put it together pretty quick.
We talk about taking the show on the road. That's really taking the show on the road.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. I used to have, when I had, before I got rid of the truck, in the bed of the truck, because I had a cap on it, always stayed in there. The little gas grill that we got, it was like $100 at Sam's Club, 2 burners, and it would live in the back of the truck year round. So it didn't matter where we go. And then I always had another like tote of spices, grill tools, like everything I needed, a little bit of oil, like it was all in there all the time. So, oh, well, look at this. While we're here, why don't we grill something? And it was fantastic.
Well, my brother Matt and I want to say in 2020, he did a huge road trip. He was gone for a month, and I flew out and met him in Utah and spent a week out there. And we did the same thing. Had that little Coleman 2-burner. Took the he has a Mini Max also, and I mean we were grilling steaks. We were looking over these bluffs in the middle of Canyonlands National Park, and we're grilling steaks. I made ramen one night, with all the fancy fixins, and so if you're going to go out there and travel and experience and do stuff, I mean, do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You went to bed, it was 60. You wake up and it's a blizzard.
Yeah. No joke. One night we were out there and we get to Utah, and it was like 90 degrees one day. The next day we get up, we do some hiking, traveling, and it got down to about 60. And it was just, I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Well, the next morning we woke up and we're like, God, it's freaking cold. And we go to unzip the zipper and it's frozen. And you look outside and it is white as can be. And we're like, we got to get off this mountain because it is coming down. And, we're an hour up this mountain on 4-wheel drive trails. And that was pretty epic.
They were in a rooftop tent on a Land Rover.
Oh, that's pretty
Land
cool.
Rover?
Range Rover.
Range Rover. There we go. Range
That's
Rover.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Rachel and I did a month-long trip. We went from here through Cincinnati down through Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, into Texas, and then back up like through Oklahoma, Missouri.
Did you do the Natchez Trace Trail?
No, we just we knew we wanted to go some places along the way. So we just hit a couple of spots on the way out and back. And then she has some friends in Texas that we went to.
Sweet.
But we took that little Coleman gas stove, and I think it was 2 cast iron skillets. And then my grandfather had made a cast iron griddle.
Oh, sweet.
And I stole that from my mom. Her dad made it. I stole it from her. And we took that, and the goal was everywhere we stopped and we were going to be camping or cooking, that we were going to do gourmet, whatever. So we're in the middle of Mammoth Caves National Park in Kentucky, in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And we did something with chicken, and then cut up potatoes for steak fries, like all on this little gas burner. And then later in Hot Springs, we were outside the hotel and cooking on it, sitting in the parking lot, like the back of the car's up, the grill's out, just having, but that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's fantastic. And the food that you cook there, you can do it here. You can do it in the kitchen and it's good, but there's something special when you're in that environment, when you're doing it that way, that it just tastes better. There's just something about it where it's just better.
we go camp on the river. Used to do it every year. Now that we've gotten older and, kids and all that stuff get into the mix, but we take those little 2-burner gas stove and a charcoal chimney, and I've cooked more, to me, some of the best steaks or breakfast or whatever it is on a 2-burner, Coleman, or even I just take that chimney, put charcoal in it, and set a cast iron on top of it.
Oh,
and it
that's a
is
great fucking idea.
Yep, it turns out absolutely fantastic, and that just those experiences, the food always just tastes better, and it everyone gathers around, and I don't know, something about that is it's almost spiritual. You're
Well, you're in the outdoors.
Yeah, I tell you, some of my favorite. I'm not much on pork chops at home, but my favorite meal on the beach was a bone-in pork chop, salt, pepper, on the grill. That I don't know what it was about it, but there was just something like that. That's the best meal for me. Like, I'm not even using I'm not cutting it up. I'm holding it by the bone. I'm eating the pork chop, like, on the beach, drinking my beer. Oh, my mouth's watering.
More than one picture of my truck that was called Minty. There's more than one picture of the big Weber in the back of that truck tied in.
Yeah.
I don't know how many miles my Weber got riding in the back of that truck from here to North Carolina, here to Assateague. I don't know how many times. And, there was early on, that was our date night. Jennifer would get off. She was working at the bank then. She'd get off at, 3, 4 o'clock. And we'd go to Assateague and cook a meal, corn, burgers, chicken, chops, whatever it was.
Yep.
And just enjoy sitting there. I know Josh growing up can remember going camping all the time.
Yep.
And cooking on open fire and just there's something spiritual about it, as Josh was saying, without a doubt.
Yep. That's how Rachel and I kind of started out. Like, she was working, like, I was working part-time for the fire department. She worked 2 summers for Beach Patrol, and we'd coordinate. So we'd get at the beach at the same time. Like, she got off at 5:30. We'd be there and drive on. Like, we'd park, she'd hop in the truck, drive on, have dinner, come home. And like, that was like, that's where our relationship started.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've carried a Lodge Dutch oven and a gallon of oil, and you get out there around the fire and hanging out with your buddies or wherever we're at that weekend, and you dig into the freezer, figure out what you got, and plop it in there, and we just sit around there and eating with your hands out there, just having a good time, drinking beer, and that's a blast.
Now this river trip that he was talking about, these boys would hop on a boat and run to a little island and spend the weekend on this island.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
If we killed it, we grilled it.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Most of the time it ran towards the end of deer season or duck season. So we go out, we'd hunt in the morning and come back and throw it in the pan. That was kind of
you got. That was dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
The only thing that I don't mess with, and I mentioned it at the beginning, is wild hogs. We've got those down here, and one year I killed 50 pigs, and we ended up donating a majority of them, and or I'd have them processed. But I was like, you know what? I've never done a hog myself, and I was like, let me bring one home and do it. And that was a one and done. And my wife said, don't you ever bring a hog back to this house.
I remember when you did that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's so big and you were trying to skin it. It broke something.
Well, I pulled it up. I've got an eye hook and a beam in my garage, and so I pulled it up on the gimbal, and I get it up in the air and I tie it off. Well, no sooner than I tied it off, the damn eye hook ripped out of the beam, like the hook opened up, and which I'm assuming was at least 250 pounds. So I didn't have an opportunity to put the scale on it, but it fell. So I ended up going up, putting a bigger eye hook in there, finally got it skinned out and quartered up. And by the time I got done with it, I was so disgusted and grossed out that I took the rest of it to the processor and said, you can donate this. I don't want it back in the house.
Yeah. So I go down and shoot a big hog.
He killed the biggest one on the property.
And I can tell you, you could smell it from where I shot it from.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They
They're just
are
disgusting animals.
absolutely nasty.
Yeah.
Just
The
nasty, filthy animals.
The one he killed was probably 325, 350.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it took all of it. I mean, what was it? 3 of us picked it up in the back.
It was Roger, the
Hayden.
spider monkey,
Yeah.
you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it had monster cutters on it. I gave you those cutters, didn't I?
Yeah, I have them.
And yeah, he was a tank.
Aiden.
Yeah, Hayden.
Yeah. This kid, this was a different pig, this particular story, but we're riding down the road, listening to Five Finger Death Punch, and
Had a heat on.
had the heat on. And Josh has a buggy, and we're driving down this road. And next thing I know, Josh is slamming on the brakes. He's throwing the window open in the front, and basically I hear, "Shoot that fucker." Well, there was a big pig. And so I come up, I'm still in the seated position. I come up, pop, 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 shoot this hog. And he runs and disappears. Well, this kid that is with Josh, it was like sending the hounds.
Yeah.
Josh said something about get him, and this kid was gone.
I said, get his ass, Hayden.
These spider monkeys, like where this hog disappears, he runs and like jumps through the air, and you hear pop, 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 pop from Hayden as he's flying through the air. He didn't realize that the hog was literally under him as he scooped it over. It was funny.
It tumbled in like a little drainage ditch. I mean, just on the other side where Dad shot. And as he's jumping over into the woods, thinking he's laying in the woods there, he's right underneath of him. So midair, he's just.
I don't believe the shit that I just saw. I just don't believe it. This is some Georgia shit, is what this is.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Lord.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very, very. We've had some good times. That's for sure.
Hell yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
it's all about.
So getting back to the hogs down there, if it's a small hog, it's okay. It'll be okay to eat. But the big monster hogs down there, they're just not edible.
I've had them so big. We live trap them. And I've had some that are so big once we get them out. Most of the time we try to live trap them and we'll take them and they're just a little bit more fresher when we take them to get processed. But some of them you can't even get in the pen with them because they'll tear you up. So I've had some that are so big that I've gotten the tractor and put them in the bucket. And so they go pretty healthy.
Wow.
But we feed all year long. We've got I think I run 20 some trail cameras and we run feed programs, food plots, and so when they set up shop and they get there, you got to really wear on them because they will tear it up in a heartbeat.
And folks don't understand here that they're kind of nomadic. They'll move from one section to another section to another section, different farms. And just to give you an idea, Josh has 20 some cameras. As of right now, he has 531,739 photos on the app because we share all our cameras back and forth. That's how many pictures he has right now.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah,
that is crazy. Yeah, that's nuts. So, all right. Well, hey, let's wrap this show up.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me on. That was
thanks, man. That was fantastic. 3 great shows that are just like the one is better than the next, which is the previous one was fantastic. So thanks for carving out some of your time. I know it's a busy time of year. One, getting your business up and going and crushing it with that. And then on top of the holidays and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for taking some time to sit down with us and chat. So
I'm glad it finally worked out.
Yeah, no kidding. 6 months in the making, finally got here.
You've been a little busy.
Yeah, it's not like the only thing you had going on. So
That's right.
yeah. So that's it for us. Thanks for watching. Like we've said in the previous shows, we're going to put Josh's information in the show notes. So go check him out, follow him, give him some love down there in Georgia. And if you're looking for some furniture or a smoker, you know a place to go now. So
That's right.
You guys deliver to the Eastern Shore? Can we make something? Can we work something out there?
Yeah, well, UPS it via dad.
Sounds good. Sign me up.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.